William Carter stood at the large window of Sentinel Station, watching the stars. His blue uniform was perfectly pressed, medals shining on his chest. As Admiral of Earth's space defense, today was the most important day of his career. The first aliens humanity would ever meet were coming to this very station. "They're almost here, Admiral," said Lisa Morgan, walking up beside him. She was Earth's best language expert, chosen to speak with the aliens. Her brown hair was tied back neatly, and worry showed in her eyes despite her smile. "Are you ready?" William asked. Lisa took a deep breath. As ready as anyone can be to talk to beings from another world. Sentinel was Earth's largest space station orbiting high above the blue planet. 3 months ago, strange signals had reached Earth. The aliens called themselves the Kelrani, and they promised friendship and amazing technology. After weeks of messages back and forth, they had agreed to meet. The station's alarm sounded softly. "Admiral, they're here," called Ben Harris from the control room. "Their ship just appeared near Mars. They'll reach us in 20 minutes. William nodded and straightened his back. Humanity had only recently built homes on Mars and the Moon. Their ships were slow, and their weapons simple. The Kelrani, however, had crossed the stars to reach them. "I hope they're as friendly as they claim," Lisa said quietly. The Kelrani ship approached slowly. It looked like a giant crystal, shimmering with colors that seemed impossible. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "No weapons detected," Ben reported. "They're asking permission to dock." "Grant it," William ordered. The meeting room was prepared with care. Earth's leaders had chosen plants, art, and music to show the best of human culture. The air felt heavy with importance as the station's doors opened. The Kelrani entered silently. They were tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin that shimmered like their ship. They had 4 arms and moved with perfect grace. The leader wore a flowing robe that seemed to change color with each step. "Welcome to Earth," Lisa said carefully, using the greeting they had practiced through space messages. The Kelrani leader tilted its head. When it spoke, the voice was musical and strange. "We bring greetings from the stars." The translator in Lisa's ear worked perfectly, turning the alien sounds into English. For the next 6 hours, the meeting went better than anyone had hoped. The Kelrani showed star maps, simple designs for faster ships, and medical knowledge that could save millions of lives. They asked only for cultural exchange and permission to study Earth's unique plant life. "This is the beginning of a new age for your people," the Kelrani ambassador said as the meeting ended. "Rest tonight. Tomorrow we will continue our discussions." That night, Earth celebrated. News channels showed the alien ship glowing against Earth's darkness. People danced in streets and leaders made speeches about humanity's bright future among the stars. William couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong, though he couldn't say what. He walked the quiet halls of Sentinel, nodding to the night crew. "Admiral," Ben called from a control screen. "We're detecting strange energy readings from Jupiter's moons." William frowned. "What kind of readings?" "I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's big." William was about to order a closer look when the station shook violently. Emergency lights flashed red. "We're under attack," someone screamed. William ran to the command center. The screen showed impossible numbers of Kelrani ships emerging from behind Jupiter's moons. They had been hiding there, waiting. "They lied to us," Lisa said, rushing into the room. Her face was pale. This was never about friendship. The attack was swift and terrible. The Kelrani ships fired weapons that cut through Earth's defenses like paper. Cities around the world reported explosions as smaller alien craft entered the atmosphere. "They're targeting all major population centers," Ben shouted over the alarms. "Military bases, power plants, government buildings, it's a full invasion." Sentinel shook again as a direct hit struck the lower levels. "We need to evacuate," William ordered. "This station is lost." The screens showed Earth burning. Millions died in the first hour alone. The Kelrani moved with perfect coordination, as if they had planned this attack for years. Perhaps they had. William grabbed Lisa's arm as they ran for the emergency ships. "We need to get to Earth, find safety." There is no safety, she answered, tears in her eyes. Not anymore. They reached the small research vessel just as another explosion rocked the station. Ben and 3 other crew members joined them, all that was left of Sentinel's 100 workers. As their ship pulled away, they watched Sentinel break apart, metal and bodies floating silently into space. "Where do we go?" Ben asked, his voice hollow. William stared at the burning earth below. "I know someone who might help us. He always said this could happen." Lisa looked up. "Who?" "Alan Ross, the government's best weapons designer. They shut down his projects because they were too extreme, too dangerous. He retired to a secret facility in the Rocky Mountains." "What kind of weapons?" Lisa asked. William's face darkened. "The kind we're going to need now. Alan always said we shouldn't trust anything that came from the stars." For 6 days they hid in Earth's orbit, watching the horror unfold. The Kelrani established bases on every continent. They didn't just kill humans. They captured them, loaded them onto ships bound for unknown destinations. "They're taking our resources," Ben reported, scanning what was left of Earth's monitoring systems. "Water, minerals, plants, they're stripping the planet." On the 7th day, they took their chance and descended to Earth under the cover of a storm. The small ship landed in a forest in Colorado. The world they stepped into was no longer theirs. Smoke filled the sky, and in the distance the alien ships glowed with their strange light. "We have to move fast," William said, checking the weapon at his side. It felt useless now that he had seen what the aliens could do. "Alan's facility is 30 miles north." "And if he's not there?" Lisa asked. "Or if the Kelrani found him first?" William looked at the small group that represented their only hope. "Then we join whatever resistance humans have managed to form. But I know Alan. He's been preparing for this his entire life." As they moved through the broken world, one thing became clear. Humanity had been betrayed, but they were not yet defeated. And if there was any chance at all to fight back, they would take it. The Kelrani had made a serious mistake. They should have killed every last human when they had the chance, because now, what remained of humanity had nothing left to lose. 6 months had passed since the Kelrani attack. The world had changed completely. William, Lisa, Ben, and the 2 other survivors from Sentinel Station, Sam Willis and Grace Peterson, moved through the forest quietly. They had learned that noise meant death. "We're close," William whispered. He checked the small map he carried. Alan's facility should be just beyond that ridge. The mountains had protected them on their journey. The Kelrani seemed to prefer the cities and flat lands, where they could easily land their ships and gather resources. Here in the wild parts of what was once Colorado, humans still had a chance to move undetected. Lisa pointed ahead. "I see something." Built into the side of the mountain was a metal door, almost invisible among the rocks and trees. It looked abandoned, with vines growing over it, but William knew better. Alan Ross had always been careful. "This is it," William said. He approached the door and pressed his hand against a hidden panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a soft beep sounded, and the door slid open. "How did you do that?" Ben asked. William managed a small smile. "Alan and I served together before he became a weapons designer. He always said if the world ended, I should come find him." They entered the dark tunnel, and the door closed behind them. Lights flickered on automatically, revealing a long passageway leading deep into the mountain. "Hello?" William called out. His voice echoed. "Alan, it's William Carter." Silence answered him. The group moved forward cautiously, weapons ready. They had gathered what guns they could find during their journey, though these seemed useless, against Kelrani technology. The tunnel opened into a large room filled with computers, screens, and strange machines. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust. Empty coffee cups and old food containers suggested someone had left in a hurry. "He's not here," Grace said, disappointment clear in her voice. "Wait." William held up his hand. A soft noise came from the back of the room. Something was moving. From behind a large metal cabinet, a man appeared holding what looked like a weapon none of them had ever seen before. He was older, with gray hair and a beard that hadn't been trimmed in months. His eyes narrowed as he studied the group. "William," the man finally said, "I thought you were dead. Everyone from Sentinel is supposed to be dead." William lowered his gun. "Not everyone, Alan. We made it out just before the station was destroyed." Alan Ross set his strange weapon down and stepped forward. The old friends embraced briefly. "I've been monitoring what's left of our communications," Alan explained, leading them deeper into the facility. "The Kelrani control most major cities now. They've set up processing centers, some for resources, some for..." He paused. "People. We saw them taking prisoners," Sam said quietly, "loading them onto ships." Alan nodded grimly. "Slave labor, from what I can tell. They're using humans to mine resources on other planets in our solar system." "How do you know all this?" Lisa asked. Alan smiled for the first time. "Because I've been listening to their communications. It took me weeks to crack their language patterns, but I've been gathering intelligence ever since." He led them into another room. This one filled with working screens showing maps, alien text, and images from around the world. "You've been busy," William said, impressed. "I wasn't the only one who thought we needed to prepare for the worst," Alan replied. "The government shut down my more extreme projects years ago, called them unnecessarily paranoid, but I kept working, in secret, and I wasn't alone." He pressed a button on a console. One of the screens changed to show a woman's face. She had dark skin and determined eyes. "This is Catherine Wells," Alan explained. "Former Special Forces. She's been organizing resistance cells across North America. There are others like her around the world. Not many, but enough to start fighting back." "Fighting back?" Grace asked, her voice small. "How?" "We saw what their weapons can do." Alan's eyes gleamed. "Let me show you something." He led them through another door into what looked like a workshop. Strange devices and half-built machines covered every surface. In the center stood something that resembled a silver sphere about the size of a basketball. "What is it?" Ben asked, leaning closer. "Project Nemesis," Alan said proudly. "What the government deemed too dangerous to develop. Quantum entanglement weapons, gravity manipulation, and most importantly," he pointed to the sphere, "a revolutionary propulsion system." "In English, please," Sam said. Alan smiled. "It means we can build weapons that can hurt them, ships that can move like they do, technology they won't expect from primitive humans." Hope flickered across the faces of the survivors for the first time in months. "How long until it's ready?" William asked. "That's the problem," Alan said, his smile fading. "I have the designs, but I need help building it. Materials. People who understand advanced physics and engineering." Lisa stepped forward. "I've spent the last 6 months studying Kelrani language and technology. Maybe I can help. And there's more of us," William added. "People in hiding, scientists, engineers. If we can reach Catherine Wells and her resistance network..." A loud alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Alan rushed to a screen showing the outside of the mountain. "Kelrani Patrol," he said, his voice tight. "3 ships, they must have detected our power signature. We need to run," Grace said, panic in her voice. Alan shook his head. "No time. They've already landed. But there's another way out." He began grabbing equipment and shoving it into bags. "Take these. The designs, the prototypes, everything you can carry." William helped gather the materials. "What about you?" "I'll hold them off," Alan said calmly. "Give you time to escape through the back tunnels." He handed William a small device. "This will lead you to another facility. Underwater. The Marianas Trench." "The deepest part of the ocean?" Ben asked. Alan nodded. "One place their sensors can't penetrate. There are others there, working. Find them." The sound of metal breaking echoed from the entrance tunnel. The Kelrani were coming. "Go," Alan ordered, picking up his strange weapon. "Find Catherine Wells. Build what we need. Show these aliens that humanity isn't finished yet. William wanted to argue but knew there was no time. He grabbed the last bag of equipment and followed the others toward the back exit. "William," Alan called after him, "there's something else you should know. I intercepted their communications. Earth isn't their first conquest. They've done this dozens of times to other species. They follow the same pattern every time: contact, betray, harvest." William paused. "Then we'll be the species that breaks the pattern." Alan smiled one last time. "That's what I'm counting on." As they escaped through the mountain tunnels, they heard the sounds of fighting behind them. Alan Ross gave them the most precious gift in this new world: time and hope. Ahead lay an uncertain path to the deepest part of the ocean, where humanity's last best chance waited. And somewhere out there, a resistance leader named Catherine Wells was gathering survivors preparing to fight back against the stars themselves. 1 year had passed since the Kelrani invasion. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the darkest part of the Marianas Trench, humans had built something amazing. The underwater base, called Poseidon, housed the last free scientists and engineers from around the world. William stood in the main control room looking at the large screen showing their progress. The room buzzed with activity as people worked at different stations. It had taken his group 3 difficult months to reach this place after escaping Alan's mountain facility. Along the way, they had connected with Catherine Wells and her resistance. "Network, Admiral Carter," a voice called. William turned to see Lisa approaching. She had changed in the past year. Her eyes held a new confidence, and she carried herself like a soldier now, not just a language expert. "The translations are complete," Lisa said, handing him a tablet. "I've decoded enough of the Kelrani language to understand their main communication systems." William nodded. "Good work. This will help with the next phase." The door opened and Catherine Wells entered. She was tall with short black hair and moved with the quiet grace of someone trained for combat. Scars on her face told stories of close fights with Kelrani patrols. "My teams are in position," Catherine reported. "Resistance cells worldwide are ready for the coordinated attack on their communication nodes." "And our ships?" William asked. Catherine smiled. "Come see for yourself." They took an elevator down to the lowest level of the base. The doors opened to reveal an enormous underwater construction bay. There, floating in special liquid chambers, were 7 spacecraft unlike anything humans had built before. The ships had smooth, dark hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They weren't large. Each could hold only 20 people. But they represented humanity's greatest achievement. "Beautiful, aren't they?" said Ben, who had become the lead engineer on the project. He joined them at the viewing platform. The first human vessels built with reversed engineered Kelrani technology, combined with Alan's theoretical weapons. William approached the glass separating them from the construction bay. "Is the Defiance ready?" Ben nodded. "The lead ship is complete. The quantum entanglement drive works perfectly in all tests. It can effectively skip between points in space without traveling the distance between." "And the weapons?" William asked. "Unlike anything the Kelrani have," Ben said proudly. "They don't follow conventional physics, which makes them unpredictable to Kelrani defense systems." Catherine crossed her arms. "So we're ready?" "Almost," William replied. "We need one. Final piece." He turned to Lisa. "Did you find what I asked for in their communications?" Lisa nodded. "Yes. The Kelrani will be moving a major supply fleet near Saturn tomorrow. 12 ships, carrying resources harvested from Earth and other planets in our system." William faced the group. "Then it's time. We launch tonight." Later that evening, the command crew gathered in the ship preparation area. The 20 best pilots, engineers, and soldiers were suited up and ready to board the Defiance. William addressed them quietly. "What we do today isn't just for revenge. It's to show the Kelrani and the galaxy that humanity will not be harvested and forgotten. Our plan isn't to win through force, but through calculated precision." Sam Willis, now the lead pilot, stepped forward. "Sir, the crews are ready, but even with the new technology, we're still heavily outnumbered." "Don't need to outnumber them," William replied. "We just need to surprise them." He looked at the assembled crew. The Kelrani think we're primitive. They believe we're still fighting with bullets and missiles while they hide behind their advanced shields. They don't know what we've built. Here. Grace Peterson, who had become their chief medical officer, asked the question on everyone's mind. What about the people still on Earth? The Kelrani will punish them when we attack. Catherine answered, My resistance cells will strike simultaneously with our space attack. We'll hit their communication nodes worldwide, temporarily blinding them. It won't free Earth, but it will give us the distraction we need. William checked his watch. It's time. Board your vessels. The crew filed into the Defiance. William took one last look around the preparation area. So much had been sacrificed to reach this moment. Inside the Defiance, William settled into the command chair. The ship's interior was nothing like traditional spacecraft. No buttons or levers, just smooth surfaces that responded to touch and thought, based on the Kelrani technology Lisa had helped decode. All systems ready, Ben reported from the engineering station. Quantum drive charged. Prepare to launch, William ordered. The liquid drained from the construction bay. Large doors opened beneath the ships, revealing the dark waters of the Marianas Trench. Underwater propulsion active, Sam announced from the pilot seat. Beginning. Ascent. The 7 ships moved silently through the ocean, rising toward the surface. No conventional engines powered them. Instead, they manipulated gravity itself, pushing against the water without creating turbulence. When they reached the surface, William gave the next command. Activate atmospheric shielding. A shimmer surrounded each ship as they rose into the night sky. No Kelrani sensors would detect them. Another advantage of Allen's designs. Quantum drive ready for jump, Ben reported once they cleared Earth's atmosphere. William took a deep breath. Set coordinates for the Saturn approach. Let's introduce ourselves to the Kelrani fleet. The stars blurred around them as the Defiance and its sister ships activated their quantum drives. In an instant, they vanished from Earth orbit. They reappeared near Saturn's rings directly behind the Kelrani supply fleet. 12 large crystal ships moved slowly, their crews unaware of what approached. Weapons armed, Lisa reported from the tactical station. They haven't detected us yet. William stood from his chair. Target their engines only. We want to disable, not destroy. The human ships moved into position. On William's command, they fired their first shots. Beams of blue-white energy lanced out, connecting with the Kelrani ships. But unlike normal weapons, these didn't explode on impact. Instead, the energy seemed to phase through the Kelrani shields as if they weren't there. The alien ships suddenly stopped, their engines dead. Confusion spread through the Kelrani fleet as more and more vessels lost power. It's working, Ben said in amazement. The quantum disruption fields are bypassing their shields completely. Within minutes, all 12 Kelrani ships floated helplessly. Not a single shot had been fired at the human vessels. William opened a communication channel. Using the Kelrani language Lisa had taught him, he spoke directly to the alien fleet. This is Admiral William Carter of Earth. Your ships are disabled, but your life support remains functional. Consider this a demonstration. Return to your leaders with a message. This is just the beginning. As the Defiance prepared to jump back to Earth, William looked at the disabled Kelrani fleet. The humans had won their first victory. The real war was just beginning. The Kelrani responded to the human attack with swift rage. 2 weeks after the Saturn victory, they tightened their grip on Earth. More alien ships arrived from distant stars. Their labor camps worked humans harder. Their patrols increased, and, most concerning of all, their supreme commander arrived. William stood in the Poseidon Base Command Center watching footage that Catherine's resistance had captured. The largest Kelrani ship ever seen had entered Earth orbit. It was twice the size of the others, shaped like a perfect diamond that glowed with inner light. Archon Vexilar, Lisa said, studying the images. That's what they call him in their communications. He's their highest leader, sent personally to deal with us. He came himself? Catherine asked, surprise in her voice. Because of one attack? Lisa nodded. We hurt their pride. The Kelrani haven't lost a ship in battle for over 200 years. We destroyed 12 in minutes. We didn't destroy them, William corrected. We disabled them. The Kelrani don't see the difference, Lisa explained. In their culture, capturing ships is worse than destroying them. It shows complete domination. William studied the diamond-shaped ship. What do we know about this Archon? Lisa brought up translated documents on the main screen. He's led 57 successful planetary conquests. No species has ever driven the Kelrani away once he took command. Ben entered the room with Sam and Grace. The fleet is ready for the next mission, he reported. All 7 ships are at full power. We need to be careful now, Catherine warned. My resistance cells report increased brutality on the surface. The Kelrani are punishing humans for our attack. William's face darkened. All the more reason to strike again. He turned to the tactical display. What's our next target? Before anyone could answer, a young resistance fighter burst into the command center. Admiral, we found something in the old human records. You need to see this. The fighter, a woman named Kelly Wright, placed an ancient stone tablet on the table. It was covered with markings that looked strangely familiar. This was discovered in Iraq 50 years ago, Kelly explained. Archaeologists couldn't translate it, but look. She pointed to symbols carved into the stone. Lisa gasped. That's Kelrani script, an older version, but definitely theirs. According to the records, Kelly continued, this tablet is over 5,000 years old. The room fell silent as everyone understood what this meant. They've been here before, William said finally. This isn't their first visit to Earth. Lisa studied the tablet carefully. The writing says they found Earth too primitive to be useful. During their first visit, humans had no technology worth taking, but they planned to return when we had developed more. They've been watching us, Catherine realized, waiting for us to build things worth stealing. This discovery changed everything. William paced the room thinking, if they've done this before, they have a pattern, and patterns can be broken. Lisa had been quiet, working on her tablet. She looked up suddenly. I've been studying their biology from the data we collected. There's something important we missed. Everyone turned to her. The Kelrani aren't individuals like us, she explained. They're a collective consciousness. They share thoughts through a natural connection, like parts of one larger mind. That explains their perfect coordination in battle, Sam said. Yes, but it's also a weakness, Lisa continued. They evolved as a collective, sharing all thoughts. They can't conceive of sacrifice, actions that benefit the group at the expense of individuals. Because to them, losing any part is like losing a piece of themselves, William understood now. Their tactics always try to preserve their forces. Exactly, Lisa nodded. This is why they're struggling to understand our resistance. Humans evolved as adaptable individuals. We can make sacrifices for the greater good. This insight gave William an idea. Ben, how quickly can we adapt the quantum drive for the next phase? What are you thinking? Ben asked. William moved to the star map. We need to take the fight beyond our solar system, set up a new base where they can't find us. Leave Earth behind? Catherine frowned. Not abandon it, William clarified. Create a safe haven where we can build a real fleet. Somewhere the Kelrani would never look. The plan took shape quickly. Using the quantum drives, they would evacuate key scientific and military personnel to a moon in a nearby star system. There, beyond the reach of Kelrani sensors, they would build the fleet that could truly challenge the alien invaders. Days later, William and Ben inspected the modified Defiance. The ship had been upgraded based on what they learned from the first battle. We've improved the quantum drive, Ben explained. It can now transport larger loads across greater distances. And the weapons? William asked. Ben's eyes lit up. Alan's final design. He called it the existence negation field. These weapons don't destroy matter in the traditional sense. They remove it from our universe entirely. William raised an eyebrow. That sounds almost impossible. So did faster-than-light travel before the Kelrani arrived, Ben pointed out. We've installed prototype negation field generators on the Defiance. Small scale only, but if they work. The alarm suddenly blared throughout the base. Grace's voice came over the communication system. Multiple Kelrani ships detected. They're using some kind of new scanning technology. They've found Poseidon. William and Ben rushed to the command center. The screens showed 5 Kelrani destroyer-class ships descending toward the ocean surface directly above them. "How did they find us?" Catherine demanded. "It doesn't matter now," William said firmly. "Begin evacuation protocol. All essential personnel to the ships immediately." The base erupted into controlled chaos as people grabbed critical equipment and headed for the docking bays. "What about the resistance fighters on the surface?" Catherine asked. "Send the emergency signal," William ordered. "Tell them to go to the backup meeting points. We'll contact them once we're established at the new location." The Kelrani ships began firing energy weapons into the ocean. The water boiled and steamed, but the depth of the trench protected Poseidon for now. "They're trying to flush us out," Lisa observed. William made a quick decision. "Catherine, take command of evacuation. Get everyone to the secondary base coordinates." He turned to his core team. "Lisa, Ben, Sam, Grace, you're with me on the Defiance." "What's the plan?" Sam asked as they rushed toward their ship. William's expression was grim. "We're going to test Ben's new weapon. Give the evacuation ships time to escape." 20 minutes. Later, the Defiance rose from the ocean depths, drawing the Kelrani fire away from where the other ships would soon emerge. The alien vessels immediately gave chase. "Quantum drive ready," Sam reported from the pilot seat. "Negation field charged to 20%, Ben added. "It's all we can safely manage for the first test." William took his command chair. "Let's show Archon Vexillar that humanity has evolved once more. Take us directly above his command ship, the FAO." Defiance vanished in a flash of light, reappearing in Earth orbit, face to face with the diamond vessel of the Kelrani Supreme Commander. It was time to deliver humanity's next message to the stars. 2 years had passed since the Kelrani first arrived. The humans had been busy. William stood on the bridge of the Defiance, now larger and more powerful than before. Around him, his crew worked with quiet confidence. The ship was no longer alone. Outside the viewports, 29 other vessels formed the human fleet. Built in secret on a distant moon, they represented humanity's best hope. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Sam said from the pilot station. William nodded. Today they would launch Operation Eternal Memory, the mission to free Earth. Lisa approached him with a tablet. "The message is prepared. We can broadcast it to every Kelrani ship and colony simultaneously." "And they won't be able to block it?" William asked. "No. I've built in redundancies using their own communication systems against them." Ben joined them from the engineering station. "The existence negation fields are at full power on all ships. We've come a long way from that first test 2 years ago." William remembered that day clearly. When the Defiance had appeared before, Archon Vexillar's command ship, they had fired the prototype negation field. It had only been at 20% power, but it still cut a perfect sphere out of the Kelrani vessel's side. Not destroyed, simply gone, as if that piece of reality had never existed. They had escaped using the quantum drive before the Kelrani could respond. That demonstration had bought them the time they needed to evacuate Poseidon and establish their new base. In the 2 years since, Catherine had led the ground resistance on Earth, while William coordinated the building of the fleet. Now they were ready for the final phase. "Open fleet-wide communications," William ordered. When the channel opened, he addressed all 30 ships. "Today we take back our home." The Kelrani believed they found an easy target in humanity. They thought we would surrender like the other species they've conquered. Today we prove them wrong. He paused, looking at the determined faces of his crew. "Remember, our goal isn't revenge, it's freedom. Not just for Earth, but for all the worlds the Kelrani have enslaved. Execute jump sequence on my mark." The human fleet vanished in 30 flashes of light. They reappeared simultaneously at 27 Kelrani outposts across 3 star systems. The carefully coordinated attack had begun. The Defiance and 2 other ships appeared in Earth orbit, directly above the Kelrani command center. In the 2 years since their last encounter, Archon Vexillar had built up Earth's defenses considerably. Hundreds of Kelrani ships patrolled the system. "Broadcast the message," William commanded. Lisa activated her console. Throughout Kelrani space, on every ship and colony, their message played in perfect Kelrani language. "You should have left us alone. What follows is Earth's final message to the galaxy." The human ships attacked with perfect precision. The existence negation fields created voids in space where Kelrani ships and bases simply ceased to exist, not exploding, not breaking apart, just gone. On the surface, Catherine led the ground assault on the Kelrani headquarters. The resistance fighters used smaller versions of the negation technology, cutting through Kelrani defenses that had once seemed impenetrable. In orbit, the battle intensified. The Kelrani ships fought back with energy weapons and gravity pulses, but they couldn't adapt to the human technology fast enough. "Archon Vexelar's ship is moving to engage," Sam reported. The massive diamond-shaped vessel approached the Defiance, weapon ports glowing. "Hold position," William ordered. This confrontation had been 2 years in the making. A communication signal came from the Kelrani flagship. On the main screen, Archon Vexelar appeared. He was taller than other Kelrani, with skin that shifted through all colors of light. His 4 arms were adorned with symbols of conquest, one for each world he had taken. "Human leader," the Archon spoke in English. "You have fought well, better than any species we have encountered in 10,000 years." William said nothing, waiting. "I offer you terms," the Archon continued. "We will leave your solar system forever. You may keep Earth and its colonies. In return, you will cease your attacks on our outposts." After all the death and suffering, after seeing his world burn, the Archon was offering peace. William considered his next words carefully. "You had your chance for peace," he replied. "You chose war against a species that has spent its entire history perfecting it." William nodded to Lisa. She activated the Defiance's primary weapon, not to destroy the Kelrani but to forever change them. A pulse of energy, unlike any before it engulfed the Archon's ship. It didn't damage the vessel physically. Instead, it rewrote something fundamental in the Kelrani biology. Using principles discovered in Lisa's research, they implanted a genetic memory in every Kelrani, the complete history of what happened when they attacked Earth, along with a simple message that would be passed to every future generation of their species. Attack Earth again, and your entire species will vanish forever. This is not a threat. It is a promise. The pulse spread outward, carried through the Kelrani collective consciousness to every member of their species. The effect was immediate. Across Earth and throughout their empire, the Kelrani stopped fighting. Their ships powered down weapons. Their ground forces stood still. "It worked," Lisa whispered in amazement. The genetic memory implant worked. Within hours, the Kelrani began to withdraw. Their ships left Earth orbit in perfect formation. Reports from other star systems confirmed the same. The Kelrani were retreating everywhere. 6 months later, William and Lisa stood on a hill overlooking a rebuilding city. Spring had come, and with it, new growth. The last Kelrani ship had left the solar system weeks ago. "Do you think they'll ever come back?" Lisa asked. William watched children playing in a park below. "No. They'll remember what we did. Not just this generation, but every Kelrani yet to be born. They'll tell others." Catherine joined them, now the leader of Earth's new Defense Council. She carried plans for a more comprehensive system of early warning beacons and defenses. "We're not taking chances," she said. "We're building a shield network around the entire solar system." A young lieutenant approached them. "Admiral, we've detected signals from 3 different non-Kelrani races. They're asking to open diplomatic relations." "Word spreads fast," Lisa commented. "What kind of word?" the lieutenant asked. William looked to the stars, now filled with possibility instead of threat. That humans aren't to be taken lightly, that there are lines that should never be crossed. Across the galaxy, a new story was being told. A tale of the seemingly primitive species that defeated one of the most powerful forces in the known universe. A warning about Earth's message that echoed among the stars, attack again and vanish forever. And unlike most warnings, this one would be remembered, because humans had made sure of it. Earth was safe, humanity had evolved once more, and the stars waited for them to take their place among the galactic community, not as conquerors like the Kelrani, but as defenders of a simple truth. Some lines should never be crossed.